And here you don't have to use plutonium or highly enriched uranium. You use cesium and a number of other agents or isotopes that will waste lower Manhattan for tens of years. That's the easy one from a terrorist perspective, and all they need to get their hands on is this material. Now, whether it's getting it at 3 or 4 kilograms at a time from the penny guys in Russia. There was a recent article in the New York Times within the past week about a similar kind of case in Georgia, the former Soviet Republic of Georgia. But I would venture to say that those of us in this room, if we were given a Southwest Airways pass for going anywhere in the United States, within a few weeks we could all come back here having stolen medical radioactive materials and things from hospitals, and we'd have enough to build one of these improvised nuclear explosives that could spread this stuff over tens of square miles. That's the scary part. So proliferation only takes a little bit to build a nuclear device, and then just spreading nuclear materials. Those are three of the scary ones. And we haven't even talked about the biological and chemical pieces. And let me just give you a quick data point in that, and I'll let Marty wrap up with anything I've not mentioned. But this business about the green onions and giving people hepatitis, that should scare the living daylights out of all of us. For number one, that it happened, but it's a classic example of how the produce industry is no longer a national industry, it's a global industry. I mean, those green onions didn't come from the United States, they came from, as I recall, Mexico or Guatemala. Well, you can have a terrorist, and that stuff gets up here within tens of hours after it was harvested. Well, you get a terrorist group who contaminates that stuff, and as Marty pointed out earlier, you don't get sick right away. You don't get killed right away. You get sick over a period of time, and you don't know what's hit you. But that's a vector that's very, very scary. And then the other thing we really haven't talked about, and I'll just mention it briefly, is the chemical aspect. The chemical part is the hardest part to go out and kill people, because you have to give it lethal doses over wide areas, and that's been a tough nut even for the military to crack over the history of warfare. I mean, we had great success, great is the wrong word obviously, in World War I, where tens of thousands of military folks had their lungs destroyed because of mustard gas. But the potential is there, and what happened with the sarin gas in the Tokyo subways in 1993 should have been a wake-up call for us too. Marty?
I would just say that in the Russian city of Shusha, there's a facility where there are 2 million rounds of chemical agents, enough to kill everybody on this planet. And they're just sitting there in buildings, stacked up. They look like wine bottles on wine racks, in buildings that are decaying, that are rusted, that are locked with just a padlock and nothing more than that. If terrorists wanted to latch on to chemical weapons quickly, they could go there and get them and use them. It's dangerous, and they sit there unsecured. Why not lock them up? Why not protect ourselves? It seems obvious to me we should be doing that. The biological problem is much more complex. It's much more of a detective mystery as anything else. You have to first discover that you've been attacked, and then you have to discover that there was one enemy, and where did it happen, and where did it come from? It's a very difficult thing to do. There's a lot more that has to be done. Fortunately, the government is moving to do some of this, but nowhere near the funding that needs to be done. I would personally feel more secure if a lot of that money that was spent on the Star Wars and missile defense system was being used to secure these other things that we're talking about, and to help the biological detectives do the work that needs to be done. And we haven't even mentioned what the biggest biological problem of all is going to be in the coming years, and it's not that far away. the ability to genetically alter biological agents to combine the properties of the most deadly Ebola with the most communicable of germs, and put them together into one germ that is so deadly for which there is no response that's known. It's very frightening, and we need to do so much more in the way of research, and we're not doing nearly enough.
Well, on behalf of the Nuclear Threat Initiative Foundation, Marty and I'd like to thank you for coming out. Remember, nti.org, go there if you need some good research. Saferworld.org, go sign a petition before you leave. Have a great semester. Don't flunk your finals on the 19th. And thanks for coming out tonight. It's been